Hello and welcome to this Forex Preview at xm.com. We'll be discussing the ECB's upcoming rate hike decision on Thursday and the potential reaction in the euro. I'm Maria Pachurdes, and joining me is lead investment analyst Rafi Boyadjian. So Rafi, the European Central Bank is widely expected to hike interest rates on Thursday. And while a 25 basis points rate hike is likely, there is growing speculation of a 50 basis points hike just days before the meeting. What has changed, and what are the key points we should watch for from the meeting?
Well, Maria, you're right in pointing out that up until recently, a 25 basis point rate hike was the base case scenario. This was, in fact, what the ECB signaled quite clearly at their last meeting. But now we are seeing these reports that some ECB sources have indicated that a 50 basis point rate hike is, in fact, on the table. Now, we know from several policymakers that they remained open to a 50 basis point rate hike even after that decision at the last meeting. So it looks like the ECB is getting quite anxious about the speed at which inflation has surged in the euro area. It did reach a fresh record high of 8.6% in June. And also, we're seeing from central banks around the world that, the preference is to front load the rate hikes now whilst the economies are in relatively good spot, and that, the surge in inflation is happening right now. We could see some moderation later in the year. So the ECB is probably, they probably want to play catch up. But of course, a 25 basis point rate hike is still a strong possibility. We don't know whether or not there's going to be a majority to go for a 50 basis point move, but that's not going to be the only thing to watch for at the meeting, because the other thing that the ECB had said it will do at the July meeting is to devise a new anti-fragmentation tool where they'd be, basically the ECB would have a policy tool in place that could implement as soon as it sees yield spreads widen quite sharply between core and periphery member states, because of course this has been a big issue for the ECB since the debt crisis a decade ago, and this is one of the reasons why they kind of were reluctant to withdraw stimulus much sooner and start raising rates a lot sooner. So once they have such an instrument in place, then they would be in a much more confident position to raise rates more aggressively. But of course, we also have these ongoing worries about a recession. The ECB is going to have a new set of staff projections that they're going to be looking at in terms of inflation and growth forecasts. So if we see higher inflation forecasts and downgrades to the growth forecast, that would probably raise some concerns about recession. And of course, what the President Christine Lagarde is going to say about the risks about a recession in the euro area, especially as we're seeing this energy crisis get worse. So a lot of things indeed that we're going to have to watch at this meeting, which is going to be quite important.
The euro is enjoying a bit of a revival on the back of the 50 basis points hike rumors. It was only last week that it briefly fell below parity versus the US dollar. Is the euro completely out of the woods, or can it revisit parity again soon?
Well, I don't think it's completely out of the woods, because there are so many risks at the moment, so many uncertainties. But clearly, I think in the short term, as we're seeing the euro rebound at the moment against the US dollar, if we get a more hawkish stance than expected, such as they go ahead with a 50 basis point rate hike now and they signal a further 50 basis point rate increase at the next meeting, that would be seen as a hawkish pivot. So that could add potentially more legs to the euro rally. But we have to bear in mind that the reason why the euro is able to bounce back quite so strongly at the moment is because the US dollar is pulling back. And as soon as the US dollar sees some renewed interest, then that would clearly dent the euro's upside. And we could get fresh worries about recession on Friday when we've got the flash PMIs coming out for July. Eurozone growth is expected to have slowed down further. in July. And of course, on the same day as the ECB decision, we're going to find out whether or not Russia will resume its gas supplies to Europe when that planned maintenance on the Nord Stream 1 pipeline is due to be completed. So a lot of things that could still go wrong. So it's too early to say whether or not this rebound is sustainable.
Rafi, thanks so much. And thanks for joining us at XM.com.